Hi sewists and aspiring sewists, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is a sewing tutorial on how I made this beautiful hoodie top. So if this looks like what you're interested in, then let's get into the main video. And meanwhile, I posted a previous video on how I was able to draft the pattern for this hoodie top. So if you're interested in that, you should go back to watch the video. So at this point, I had already cut out my fabric and I'm going to proceed to sewing. So the very first thing is to merge my cap together. So remember in the previous video I said that we're going to cut in 4 pieces of this hoodie cap. So the first step is to join the first part together, just like you can see me doing in this video. So I'm going to be joining the wrong side together first, then for the other side I'm also going to be joining the right side together, because that would be what will form our lining. So if you observe closely, you can see that for this other side I am joining the right side together. So the right side is what is outside, unlike the other one where it is the wrong side that is showing outside. Because I'm sewing a cream hoodie color top, you might not be able to differentiate it, but when you're sewing your own, just do it the way I'm doing in this video. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to be taking out the center part of the hoodie cap. So I'm going to be joining the center together, the joining facing the joining of the other side, and I'm going to run a stitch. Now I had already gone ahead to fix my eyelet, which was about 2 inches away from the basement. So I already gone ahead to do that because I don't have the machine. So I proceeded to joining my lining, my hoodie cap lining with the main body, so that we can have a clear view of what we want to achieve. So after joining, I'm going to be turning it, and at this point you can see that the inner side is looking whiter than is kind of whiter than the outer part, and that's because that's the wrong side. And at this point I'm sure you should have gotten how I was able to achieve this. So the next thing will be for me to weave the downside of the hoodie cap. So I'm going to be doing this, and you're going to see how our hoodie cap is going to be looking like once I'm done. So now I'm done, and this is how it is looking like, and I'm sure you can have a clear view of what we're trying to achieve here. So this is it, and this is how the eyelet distance is also appearing in the video. So guys, now the next thing will be to weave the pocket side, because I'm going to be sewing both the hoodie cap and the pockets. I'm going to be running a stitch on them on the straight sewing machine. So that's why I'm starting with them first. So I'm sewing this part because this part is where I'm going to be folding on the straight sewing machine. So the next stage will be to join my shoulder lines together. So I placed my front on my back, and I'm going to go ahead to weave the shoulders. Now remember that while we're cutting the shoulders, they were not equal, so I'm also going to be taking note of that while notching my sleeve, while notching my armhole for my sleeve. So now that I'm done joining my shoulder lines together, I'm going to go ahead to notch the center of my hoodie top. Remember that we left about 1 inch while we were cutting, so that is why we are having about 1 inch overlap on the front bodies. So I'm going to go ahead to trim the excesses, and I'm also going to go ahead to notch. So I'm going to be attaching my sleeve to this notch area. I've also gone ahead to notch my sleeve. So I'm going to be placing both sides together. The notch area, I'm going to be placing it on the body, and I'm also going to be pinning it down. So I'm going to be repeating this same process on the other side of my sleeve. So after attaching both sleeves, this is what you should be having. This is what your hoodie top should look like. Then we proceed to the next stage, which is running a straight stitch on my hoodie cap. Now this area is where I'm going to be fixing the hoodie cap rope. So it is important that we stitch this area because this is where we'll be inserting the rope. So that's the essence of stitching this area. So I'm going to be running this stitch around the hoodie cap. So once I'm done, this is what our hoodie cap is going to be looking like. So you can see that we're already ready to attach this to the body of the hoodie itself. So now I'm going to proceed to the next stage, which will be to run a stitch on my pocket angle. So the next step now will be the pocket side. And remember, when we were drafting our pattern, we had an upper base of our pocket and a down base. So we are going to be starting our stitch from the upper base on both sides. So in case you're wondering what we're trying to achieve here, don't worry, in no time you would understand better as we couple things together. So now that I am done, the next thing I'll be doing is to attach this pocket to the front bodies. I had already gone ahead to notch the down center of my front body. So I'm going to be attaching the front pocket just the way I'm doing in this video, and I'm going to go ahead to pin it down. If you are conversant with the look of a hoodie, you would know that there is usually a front pocket, and this is how it's always fixed. So I'm going to be pinning this down, and I am going to go ahead to stitch the different parts I'm meant to stitch. So if you're yet to watch the tutorial video on how I drafted this pattern, then go back to the previous video to watch the tutorial video and you would understand what we are trying to achieve here. So I'm going to go ahead to fold my side, the side of my pocket, and I'm also going to repeat the same process on the other side and then come to stitch the upper side of my pocket. So after attaching my front pocket, this is what we have, and this is what our hoodie top is looking like. So this is a clearer view of how it looks like. Yeah, so we'll move to the next stage, which is weaving the sides of my hoodie. So the sides also include the sleeve. So I started from the sleeve, which I'm also going to be running my stitch down to the body of the hoodie. I'm also going to be repeating the same process on the other side. So at this point, I'm done stitching both sides, and here is what we have. So the next thing to do now will be to notch the center point of my neck. So I went ahead to trim the excesses, then I went ahead to notch the center back and the center front of my neckline. So these are the points I'm going to be attaching my cap to. So I'm going to make sure that my hoodie cap is centralized, and I'm going to be notching the excesses. So I'm also going to be making sure that the center point of my hoodie cap is what I'm attaching to the back neckline. So, and while the front part where there is the highlight is where I'm going to be attaching to the front neckline. So I'm going to be pinning this down, and I'm going to run my stitch around the neckline. So now that I'm done attaching my hoodie cap to the hoodie body, the next thing to do will be to attach the band to the downside of my hoodie, because this is what will be serving as the band. You can decide to actually get a ready-made band, but I decided to use the fabric itself for my band, so I am using the stretchy part. And mind you, when I remember, I forgot to point out the fact that when you are cutting out your hoodie top, make sure that the part that is forming your bust and your hip area is the stretchy part. I've said that in one of my videos, but in case you don't know, make sure you always use the stretchy part as your bust area, while the length area of your hoodie should be the non-stretchy part. So I also proceeded to attaching my band, my sleeve band, to my hoodie as well. So this is how I'm going to be sewing. I'm going to join the band first, then I'm also going to attach it to the band. So at this point, I was already done attaching the sleeve band to it, and the way I was able to achieve this was the same way I did the round waistband, which is the down band. So that was how I was able to achieve this. So we are done, and yeah, we are finally done. So I went ahead to also reinforce the downside of my hoodie, which is very necessary, so that your hoodie will be very firm, so it doesn't lose after wearing for a long time. So I also went ahead to run this straight stitch on my hoodie cap, and this is what we have. So at this point, I was already done. I've gone ahead to iron, to customize, and yeah, see this beauty now. Let me know if you'll be trying this in the comment section. See you in my next video. Bye.